more black people get abortions.
Yes. So I looked
Okay,
it up.
why is that, white lady? White lady, why do more black people get abortions? Because abortions are based on what? Lack of access to resources. Nope, because abortions disproportionately happen to impoverished people. Why are black people more impoverished than white people? Because of white supremacy. So thank you for pointing out that people that have been forced into poverty through systemic racism of the last 200 years are forced to abort their baby more because of the lack of resources to be able to raise a baby. And then you, as a white lady, use that as your talking point to take the health care away from those same women that are suffering in those same impoverished neighborhoods because you don't want to acknowledge the white supremacy behind it all.
White people, let's talk about it. Let's talk about our violence, white violence. No more deflecting, no more blaming everything on everybody else. Let's confront ourselves. White people in America, our history is so extremely violent. And instead of confronting that, we continue to blame other people for the issues and the problems in this country, instead of just taking ownership of our part to play in everything, which is a huge part. Can we stop scapegoating other groups of people, please, and just look at ourselves? White people, it's time to talk about it. Like, it's long past time. Getting rid of other groups of people in this country is not going to make this country better. It's not going to make your life better. It's not going to make you better. I think white people are so scared to talk about race and to talk about white violence and white supremacy because they don't want to connect themselves to it. We don't want to feel like we're a part of the problem. But unless you're acknowledging the reality of how the US, this country, runs, you are a part of the problem. I truly believe in my heart, in my soul, that if you're born a white person in this country or on this planet, but I'll just speak about this country, part of that journey is to dismantle systems that have been built to oppress other people. The hard work of life is to confront yourself. How do I benefit from the way that things are? And how does my benefiting from those things harm other people? And instead of walking around with, 1,000-pound bag of shame on your back, consider it your responsibility to do that work. Consider it an opportunity that you are in the best possible position to make this world a better place by not accepting racist and prejudiced and oppressive systems for what they are and trying to contribute to changing them. Use the privilege that you have for good. I don't think that anybody can ever really love themselves without being honest about themselves, without being honest with themselves. And that work is painful and hard, but it's so worth it. White people, you don't have to consciously think that you're better than other people in order to contribute to harm against them. All it takes to contribute to harm is to stay silent and disengaged. White people, can we finally get this shit right? Can we finally take accountability? Can we finally look ourselves in the mirror and decide that this isn't good enough? We're not doing a good enough job. You aren't losing because somebody else is safe and cared for. You aren't losing because somebody different than you exists. White people, let's talk about it. Let's start having these conversations with ourselves and with each other. It's time.
White men are the mental health problem in this country. Jim Crow, white men. Slavery, white men. Segregation, white men. Concentration camps for Asian Americans in the late 30s and early 40s. 1,800 people died. How many black people were hung from trees? 8,000. Let me guess. Oh yeah, once again, white men. The gun violence? 98% are men. 84% are white men, U.S. citizens. I see a trend. How about the Middle Passage where 1.2 African Americans died? Oh yeah, once again, white men. Why was the Second Amendment written? Let me think. So black people couldn't have their freedoms. So the white men could once again control them. Who's in the White House? An adjudicated rapist, convicted felon white man. Wow, I see a trend. But somehow Americans are just begging to blame a trans person, a non-white person. See, what happened to George Floyd is symbolic of what's happening in this country. The white man putting his knee on the neck of a non-white person and sitting there in broad daylight with the balls to say, who's going to stop me? And that's what we're seeing right now. So that's the question that we need to ask ourselves as a fucking country. Who's going to stop them? Because I'm just one person here. Now, I don't know about you, but I got friends and family that are sitting behind the white privilege, and I want nothing to do with them. Not because of who they are, because their lack of action. Martin Luther King said, history is going to remember not the people that did bad things, but the good people that stood by and did nothing. Because once again, the white man is hiding behind their privilege while everybody else is getting treated like absolute fucking garbage. Because it doesn't affect me. You don't even want to go on a general strike to stop fascism. Oh, I can't work. Oh, I got a job. White man is the mental health crisis in the United States of America. It has been since day one. When you look at the majority of them, what do you see? A bunch of insecure little wannabe alpha males with small penises that need big trucks and guns to feel like a real man. That's the real problem, is toxic masculinity. That the white man feels unable to shit on everyone's rights just because of how they look. It's ironic, isn't it, that they demonize black people because they're black on the outside, and yet their hearts are black on the inside. Isn't that ironic? And every single time we see a mass shooting, they're just salivating on the white supremacist red hatters to say, oh my gosh, it was an immigrant, it was a trans person, it was a gay people. 84% of gun violence is white men. But when it happens, like at the church the other day, what happens? Oh, thoughts and prayers. But what happened with the racist podcaster? Oh, they were just dying for it to be somebody on the left so they can just blame somebody else. And a white man. The Catholic, the church yesterday. A white man. 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 Ahmaud Arbery. Guess what? 3 white men that chase out a black guy. Breonna Taylor. Oh, a white cop. Again and again and again and again and again. It's the same demographic. White men are the problem in this fucking country. And until we address the real mental health epidemic, which is white supremacy built on white men controlling people, because that's how this country was designed, for 21-year-old land-owning white men to shit on everybody else. This country was designed to benefit my demographic, and that is not okay. That is the original sin of this country. And until we address it, we will never be a great country, and we haven't been a great country. And if you don't like that, then you can ship.
How's everybody doing today? So I see, once again, we've had it put into our face that white folks, we are the problem. We're the problem. We're the problem. Our refusal to honestly deal with our history of hatred, racism, genocide is a problem. Our inability to see where the unhealthiness of our culture is the problem. Our inability to see how racism and Christianity all tied up in together is a problem, is the problem. And the biggest problem is that we do not see we are the problem. God bless everyone. Have a beautiful afternoon.
My question is for white people. And I am a white person, so I feel like I'm allowed to ask this, but not only am I allowed, I feel like it definitely needs to be discussed. And my question is this. What have we done as a race, as a group of people, to make anybody else like us? Why should anybody else like us? Because everything that we have done as a group of people has been to tear somebody else down and make sure that we are at the top, as if race is like a tier system. If you look far enough back at anything in this country, it's probably going to be rooted in racism, which is something that I have been learning a lot about lately. And it just begs me to wonder, why do we think as a race that we are automatically deserve so much respect? For what? What have we done to deserve that? Yeah, that's my question. And I think the answer is genuinely nothing.
I've had it with white people that triple trumped. Yeah. That have the nerve and the audacity to walk into a Mexican restaurant, a Chinese restaurant, an Indian restaurant. I really genuinely believe that if you triple trumped, then you are all about preserving the lack of culture in white America that has led us to where people go and Bible thump with their AR-15s. Like, that's the only thing that I see when you get all white people together in the United States. There's no culture at all. So they have to go borrow culture from people. Even the word woke, they've borrowed from Black culture. I don't think you should be able to enjoy anything but Cracker Barrel. Get your fat asses over to Cracker Barrel. Quit watching NBA basketball. Quit watching sports that are dominated by African Americans. Quit going to Mexican restaurants. You want white culture, you go fucking live in it. But do not participate in any of the shit that makes America cool. And what makes America cool is multiculturalism. And if you want to triple Trump, and you want to browbeat DEI, and you want to browbeat gay people, and you want to browbeat Black people, as you've been doing for 400 years, and you want to browbeat this generation of immigrants that come over here and open up businesses earnestly, pay their taxes, you want to demonize them and call them rapists and felons and all this shit, when the felon is the teeny weeny mushroom cock piece of shit, Kankles McTaco tits at the top of the ticket. I have fucking had it from top to bottom. White people that triple Trump should be banned, boycotted from enjoying the best thing that America has to offer, which is multiculturalism. Get your fat asses out of the Mexican restaurant. Get your fat asses over to Cracker Barrel, because nobody wants to see your fucking smug ass, teeny weeny, pink arm, big gut around. Nobody wants to see that shit.
Welcome again, guys. And it seems like the white community is getting the memo right. It's like they're coming into their realizations, and they're understanding that whatever they have been doing from their forefathers to the present days isn't something that should be done to other people. And to other people, I mean people who are not of the white race. And there have been a group of white people that have been condemning whatever has been going on in terms of racial profiling and any other inhuman acts that are being undertaken against people who are not of the white community. Before we go on with the discussion, let's watch the video and try to get an insight of how things are. Then I'll get back with my remarks.
Something I want to say about whiteness before this app goes kaput, specific to white people in America, which is kind of me. There are these conversations we have about imposter syndrome, like, I have imposter syndrome, I have imposter syndrome. And for a white person, the reason that you and I have imposter syndrome is because we are imposters. To be born white in America is to be born a settler. Even if we don't own land, the cultural implications of colonization and the power structure means that we have a settler psyche. That's how our brain works. That's how we think. That's how we go. In the entirety of the sense of self, in whiteness, for white people, is a fabrication. It is a lie. It is pretenders. We are imposters. That's why we have imposter syndrome, because we are imposters. Why do you think white people, especially white men, me, why do you think we're so fragile? Why do you think we can't handle conflict? Why do you think we run away all the time? Why do you think It's because we have a fragile sense of self, a fragile ego, and we're fragile because we are trying to keep up this charade of being superior, which is a fucking lie. The irony of a superiority complex is a deep sense of misery and fragility that makes life not enjoyable, because we are actually living counter to what is true to humanity, which is that we are all the same fucking species, meaning we are all equal, we are all worthy and valuable to the same fucking degree. But because we have so distorted that, because of our ancestors have so distorted that, or maybe I should point down, they're certainly not going there. Because of that distortion, we are born in this psychological framework where we have this really fragile sense of self, and we're just trying to keep up with the Jones, keep up the fucking charade, and we don't do the fucking work internally to actually figure out how to root and ground ourselves in some sort of values, to respect the humanity of others, to respect the humanity of ourselves. And so we just pretend, and then we feel terrible. I'm an imposter, they're gonna find out, and then I'm a fraud. Well, you're a fucking fraud, and so am I, because we're fucking white Americans. Now, this is a little bit different for men and women. There is an imposter syndrome that exists under patriarchy for women that I'll never understand. And so I'm just speaking to the white portion of this. But if you are white, even if you're a woman, it's a little bit different, obviously. But like white people in general, we are fucking imposters, man. And we gotta confront that and look at it dead in the mirror, because do we want to be fragile forever? Do we just want to like not be able to deal and handle conflict forever? Do we want to do this bullshit right to comfort forever? And I'm looking myself in the mirror right now. This is what I realized this whole last year. I am a fraud. I am a fake. I am a pretender. That's who I have been. That's not who I need to continue to be. There's a better world. There's a better life. There's better relationships. But the longer we run away from this shit, the longer we fucking hide, where are we gonna get? We're never gonna be good community members. We're never gonna be able to practice actual revolutionary values. We're just gonna keep in the same fucking bullshit, distant, non-intimate, fake, imposter shit. We have imposter syndrome because we are imposters.
This might be a hot take, but there's a huge difference between being not racist and anti-racist. Growing up as a white person, I was not racist. I didn't say the N-word, but I also was terrified to participate in any sort of discussion about race. I sort of just stayed out of it, right? I was like, this isn't a problem I contribute to, but it's also not gonna be a problem that I help put an end to, I guess. Then I went to college at Brown, and that's where I learned that not being racist is in its own way contributing to racism. Because if you are too scared as a white person to call out the racism of other people or to critically examine your own biases, especially your implicit ones, that is still a contributing factor to the problem. And that's why I now make the content that I do, because I'm thinking back to all of these things that I heard as a child, and I'm seeing my entire life in a new light. Like, wow, this family was quite racist, this friend was racist, all these things that the people I went to high school with that they did, sort of critically examining it as well as my own biases. So if you are someone who continues to insist that you're not racist, you're probably contributing to the problem.
So black people are taking white jobs. China gave us the China virus. Haitians are eating pets. Puerto Rico's a floating island of garbage. What the fuck are white people besides gigantic pieces? That video was taken down after it went very viral because apparently there was a whole bunch of people who didn't like me talking shit about the white folk. But I'm here today on November 6th, the day we literally lost our democracy, to tell you that white people are the fucking problem. We've always been the problem, and we're always going to be the problem. I am not one of those fucking pick-me girls, okay? I am on all the marginalized groups' side. I will say fuck the patriarchy to anyone who will listen. This right here, this Donald Trump presidency for 2024, white. So it's, we let all of our black and brown and gay and lady friends, we let everyone down. Yep. You can only blame you, white people. And I'm trying to make this video so it doesn't come down because you are the fucking racists in this country. Yep. I mean, you are the ones that called every marginalized group a slur. Not the other side. Have the fucking day you deserve.
Racism devastates people from the global majority the most, obviously. Let's be really clear about that. But whiteness carries a cost for white people too. And I wish white people could get that into their heads. It shows up in how isolated we often are. In regions like the Northeast and Wales, over 90% of people are white British, and a third of white Britons say they have no friends from a global majority background. I mean, think about what that means. We are cut off from whole worlds of perspective, from different ways of thinking, problem solving, creativity, ideas, joy, humor, you name it. Instead of gaining resilience through difference, we stay small and we stay shallow and we cling to sameness, and I guess we call that normal. Whiteness looks like power, but it's really a cage. It cuts us off from the richness of life itself. Racism dehumanizes people of color, but it also diminishes white people. And anti-racism isn't charity work, remember. It's how we open the door to fuller humanity, connection, and possibility. I mean, it would be great if we did this out of the goodness of our hearts and for the sake of justice. But if that feels like too much to ask, do it for selfish reasons. Do it because your life will be richer, deeper, funnier, and better if you do.
Can we stop, for once, at least, maybe in our nation's history, stop trying to blame white-on-white crime on black people? Can we stop it for once, at least, please? Like, we all knew when Charlie Kirk was killed. We knew who this was going to be. We knew who the suspect was going to be, a young white man. We knew it. And yet, some people tried to spin this to say it was something else. And now threats are being lobbied against black students at universities. Black HBCUs are being threatened to be blown up. I think 4 of them had to shut down yesterday and today because they had to deal with bomb threats. It was never them. It's never been the black community. We always blame anybody else but ourselves. But the call is coming from inside the house. We are the problem. White on white crime, we are the problem. We have always been the problem. So let's for once stop trying to blame somebody else and look inward and try to address the actual problems that we are the ones creating upon ourselves.
I cannot wait for the comments on this one, but white people, we're gross, and I just learned yet another reason why. So my 3-year-old son is in nursery school, right? And we got an email the other day that said that there was lice happening at the school. Gross. So I follow the links to like the CDC page on head lice, and I of course buy all the products and get the knit comb and all the things, and I'm studying the information on the CDC page when what to my wondering eyes should I come across but the little fun fact that African American communities experience less lice than white people. It just makes me think of what a nice compliment that is to the TikTok I saw the other day. Oh, I wish I could remember who created it, with the guy talking about how when the Europeans came here to the US, then, you know, Turtle Island, the indigenous people could smell them like football fields away, and they were like so repulsed that they begged them to bathe, and they taught them how to have appropriate levels of hygiene. And they say white people have no culture. It's in our blood. We're disgusting.
You don't think white women have been conned to the most by patriarchy? Explain this. 92% of black women voted for Kamala Harris, and only 47% of white women did. So more than half of white women voted for a patriarchal rapist. Why? Because they were the most conned by patriarchy. Sure, patriarchy runs thick in all of us, and we all do have to deconstruct. But because of patriarchy's intersection with white supremacy, it hits different for white women. White women are told, yeah, white men might be the most powerful in society, but you can live in their houses. You can have access to the places where these men go, to the places where influence happens. You can just influence your husband to get the world that you want, because your husband will be the most powerful in this society. Patriarchy says, yeah, you have to submit to men. Men will always be higher than you, but you get to be higher than everyone else. And this is how patriarchy subtly convinces white women to help them enforce white supremacy culture. It says, yeah, you can't be at the top of the ladder, but we'll give you the second rung, higher than the rest of them. Patriarchy doesn't make the same promise to black women or to Latino women. It doesn't work so hard to con them because it knows that they're likely already sufficiently oppressed by white supremacy and likely capitalism too. Patriarchy does its best to get white women to buy into the idea of hierarchy. It needs us to, because if we didn't, we alone could be the force that changed the tides. There are enough of us. So what it tries to offer us instead, in order to entice us to play the patriarchal game, is it says, but you can be not like the other women. You can be better than the other women. You can be the cool girl or the sports girl or the trophy wife, while all those other women are getting oppressed because you're the exception. That's right, you're going to be the exception. Then you will get treated better by patriarchy. Patriarchy won't forget about you and render you invisible when you're in your 40s like it does those other women. You're special. If you're just self-sacrificing enough and you prioritize your children and your husband, oh, there will be a bright future waiting for you. Don't listen to those other older women. They're just bitter because they're not special like you. You're different. Patriarchy barely plays that game with other women. That is a game designed for white women. It's why white women are so competitive with each other, because they all think they're vying for the slot of the special woman, the exception to the rule that applies to other women. Little do they know there was never any such exception. That carrot is like the bunny that the greyhound is chasing around the track. It always just seems to elude them. By the time they figure it out when they're in their 40s, and they start getting treated like they have no value, well, by then they'll just be discarded, while their husband gets somebody younger who doesn't yet know this, and then that younger woman will be told, you're the exception. It won't happen to you. Just wait, you will be cherished forever. White women need to own our shit. You should be really embarrassed by this.
Go ahead, be on the wrong side of history. Listen, Shaquita. Isn't that racial profile? I'm not stitching this to stitch for this woman to understand anything, because there isn't a chance she's going to until she needs other women. She just won't understand it until she needs other women, because white women are the problem. White women are the problem. I am the problem. So I'm trying to be part of the solution. I'm trying to help white women understand that the reason that you're going so hard is because a man told you to go that hard, and men are getting you to do their bidding war for them and go against women. You know, I am a woman's woman through and through, have been my whole life. I have never, will never, and don't need to ever be a pick-me girl. And it's really sad that white women are the problem. But we need to be part of the solution now. Women, white women especially, please.
Welcome again, guys, and I'm going to be brief because this is a topic that we've spoken about not once or twice, and it's something that is out there, and we've come to understand that there are some of the white members of the white community that are starting to realize their steps, are starting to realize their mistakes, and it's like they're retracting some of, they're trying, or they're retracting, or they're in the process of retracting some of the rules that they had placed or had been placed by their forefathers that used to make people of other races, mostly blacks, to seem like they were less of human beings, because they're now standing up against the brutalities, the racial segregation, and any other injustices that that will be projected against people of other races. And they're making them understand that America is not only for the whites, and that they are now realizing and coming out to tell the truth that America wasn't even belonging to the whites, because it belonged to the Native Americans, and these people went ahead and grabbed the lands and massacred some of the original members, and brought people from Africa. And it was just bad, and it continued to be bad as time went. And they also made rules that were not favorable to the African Americans. And these are the things that now people are speaking about. Their fellow white men and women are now talking about things that they are not proud of. And they're also talking about, and even the white women are also talking about how most of them are still under the patriarchal rule, that they can't stand with their fellow women. And some of them are congratulating the black women for standing up for themselves and trying to mobilize and support their fellow women, as we recently saw during the elections when they had when America had a female candidate who was Kamala Harris, and the black women stood with Kamala Harris, while most of the white people stood with Donald Trump, who went ahead to claim the seat. But now it's like most of them are regretting, and most of them are now feeling like they kind of made a mistake. They made a mistake in that most of the Americans now, and the white mostly, are complaining of high economical standards, and things have turned out to be expensive, and it's not a walk in the park anymore. It's more of they're feeling like they're now also getting to suffer And what I can say is this is more of having a taste of your own medicine, because you end up trying to make a decision to punish other people only to end up punishing your own self. They made rules that were to send away the immigrants and people who are not originally American citizens. Well, these are the same people who are helping them to build their country. These are the people who are doing jobs that the white Americans are too lazy to do. You see, the building sector, the food sector, farming. You see, most of the white Americans are farm owners. The people who work in the farm are people from the other races, maybe the blacks, the Mexicans. Those are the people who do the hard works. But you end up sending them away, jailing some of them. These people will go back. They might not be going back to a better life, but you'll also be left with a life that's deteriorating, life that's not as good as it was when these people are there. So what I want to say is that these are the repercussions of making decisions without having to think of it before. And as you understand, these are the same people that are now complaining of how economies at times are tough and stuff, without understanding that this is something that is self-inflicted. You see? This is something that is self-inflicted, and the rest of the nation, I guess people have already caught up with the situation, understood how things are. In this context, I'm talking about the black society. These are people who are already used to the hard times, because it's never easy for them. It's said that you are being implicated on something you didn't do, or you are being falsely accused or jailed for looking like someone who you are not. You see, these are things that people are now coming into terms with. But for the white people, it's new. But for the blacks, they have coped up and they've learned their way around these things. So that's my little remarks, and I would want to get to hear from you people in the comment sections, and kindly like and share and also subscribe. Bye guys.